Alright, everybody. Here's a video on Endfield. I can't believe I'm making this fucking video. And the main reason I'm making this video is because there's so much other garbage going around with Endfield. And so here's my video to add some more, maybe fuel to the fire, my thoughts on everything, because, yeah, I thought it was quite interesting to just see all this doom posting or suck posting or whatever the fuck is happening. Especially I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of people that didn't even play Enfield yet, and they're already doom posting and whatever else. Uh, People that are new to the whole franchise, even. Anyway, so let's start. First of all, who am I? In case you're getting past this video um, or anything else, I've been a gacha player for over 10 years now. And I played Arknights since literally day one. So I had played Arknights for like 5 years. I had set multiple records in Arknights. I streamed Arknights, tons and tons of Arknights. I also had the chance to play in the technical test, the first showing of Arknights Endfield. And I got to play in the closed beta test as well. So I have a little bit of perspective on what people were talking about, my own feelings coming out of these tests, and hopefully I can shed some light on those as well. So yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say Arknights drew me in a lot with the mental component, the strategy, the skill-based part. So despite it being a gacha, it still felt like a skill-based game, while pretty much every other gacha was just like a character or stat check or whatever, just a money check. While Arknights, no matter how much you spent, you can still lose a mission. So that is one of the things that did interest me about Arknights. Art design was amazing. I really liked it. So let's get into the technical test. The technical test was heavily brought down by the combat. There was a small little Discord server because the Chinese community had the technical test before us, then the English or global community had a technical test after. And there was a Discord community for those that, got to chat in the technical test or participate in the technical test. And of all the people that I saw discussing the technical test, there was a single person that seemed to enjoy the combat of the technical test. And the rest of us pretty much unanimously said, it's got to go back in the oven. Like, it's not ready. We're not enjoying this combat. And, Hypergriff took it back and they redesigned it to something that's more palatable. So yeah, and if you go back to the videos that I actually bothered posting from the technical test, I literally spent all my time just exploring, going out of bounds, doing fun stuff because I couldn't be bothered with the combat. I did finish the technical test, main storyline, but yeah, this is it. I spent my time out of bounds, exploring the out of bounds zones. Yep. So when I say that, from the people that actually played technical tests, we mostly did not enjoy the combat nearly as much in the technical test, and I can say that I enjoyed it a lot more in closed beta test 1. The thing about closed beta test 1, and I mean, this is going to be very much my personal preference, is that I still find that the combat in closed beta test 1 was too much of a SP waiting game. Something that I always refer to as my favorite gacha game, or one of my favorite gacha games, Dragalia Lost Solved. So like auto attacks just felt lackluster and kind of somewhat pointless. And we just end up waiting for SP most of the time to actually get our combos off. So yeah, that was closed beta test. That was a combat in closed beta test 1. Now, I'm going to get into just overall the takeaways that I had in closed beta test 1. Now, not everyone is going to agree with this, and the great part is that people are different. And I know that for some out there, they can't comprehend the fact that there are different preferences for things, just like how you will see tons and tons of back and forth about the art for some of the characters and how they like it, they don't like it, whatever. But so one of the things is that people are different and they're gonna like different things. So let's go. Closed beta test 1, for me, the main takeaways were the art direction, the combat, which I just talked about, the weapon gacha, the time gates and stamina spend, the weekly roguelike, repeated interaction with the base, and yes, blueprints. Oh, I said it. That's right. We're talking about blueprints now. Oh my, have I seen some Doom posting relating to blueprints. It is wild. It is wild, some of the stuff that I've been seeing. Like, here, let's take a quick look at this. Is the base not an important part of the game, or do you not care? Since at the moment, the game is based on 50-50 system. First half is base, second part is combat. Do you need to develop the base more if everyone just copies it and then never interacts with it until you need new armor? If people want to play the game for the RPG reason, then just don't play the game and play something else. So yes, there's a lot. I've seen tons and tons and tons of comments in that similar vein, or videos or whatever else, saying like, oh my god, blueprints are going to kill Endfield. Speaking as somebody that is not a regular to base builders, but who has played base builders, I've played through Factorio, I played through the DLC of Factorio. Guess what Factorio has? Factorio has blueprints. Let's start with just on the surface, like, as I mentioned, people are different. They have different amounts of time. Some people are going to be better at base building. Some people are going to be worse at base building. Some people are just don't want to put in the effort. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And you should respect their decision to not want to, or not necessarily want to interact with bases, but then still want to play Arknights Endfield. And just go. And again, this is not to be throwing any shade at any content creators or anything else like this. I don't know if EchoJin or Kyostin have even talked about this, but EchoJin has like 77,000 subscribers, and you can go see, like, we're talking hundreds of thousands of views on different Arknights guides. And how many people do you think that they go look up an Arknights guide on EchoJin? Do you think they just plop down the exact guide? And then you can go to Kyostin. 9 days ago, 159,000 views for some stage guides for Arknights. Even if blueprint sharing was not a thing in Endfield, what would happen is that you would either have just some centralized place, a site that people could upload some designs to, or you would have content creators that would just post their base as a video and say, like, okay, well, start by placing this building here, this building here, this building here, and then link them with this belt, like this. That's what you would have. And then people would have the arduous task of sitting there and having the video open, having their phone open, or the game client open, and recreating this manually. So you can obviously see that as soon as you get into the point where you have to understand that not everyone is going to be wanting to interact with the base to the same level as the tryhards, you're going to end up in this situation where it's like, well, you may as well just give them blueprints. And then some people might say, well, why did you even develop blueprints in the first place? And that's quite simple. Anybody who's ever played a base builder understands immediately why why you would have blueprints in the first place. And they showed it in the video too, in the teaser, where you can upgrade the size of, here it is. You can upgrade the size of your base. And what's going to happen is that, let's say you start by putting your, your AIC in the center here, and you have your little base around your AIC. Then you upgrade, you get more facilities. Oh, now suddenly this is no longer the optimal place, but you still want to keep this. You're going to make it as a blueprint, you're going to post it. When you have to make like 500 of whatever this is producing, well, suddenly you're going to want to stamp it down in multiple places. Blueprints make sense as a design choice for these games, because to move stuff, to stamp stuff down, copy paste effectively, and things like that, if you want players to actually try and do stuff and experiment more, it's great to have a place where they can save their design, try something else. If it doesn't work, fine, plop back their old design. In the 2 tests that I played, it became kind of like not a struggle, but like a motivation factor. Is like, oh my god, do I really want to redesign my base now? Oh, I unlocked 2 more squares. Do I really want to get rid of everything and do everything from scratch? And Blueprint solves that problem. And then as soon as you have the blueprints in, as soon as you have the blueprints in the game, and you recognize the problem with the fact that people who don't want to interact to the same level on the base are going to go watch a video and then just try and hand copy everything, you may as well just allow blueprint sharing. And that's what they did. I don't think anyone who's complaining about blueprints has ever played a factory building game. Because I've played just a handful, and I played Factorial, and I immediately was like, oh yeah, blueprints makes perfect sense for a game like this. And when you go back, remember I was talking about the technical test, and how there was a Discord of people talking. This was one of the key comments, is the blueprints. I personally had said, if you're not going to allow blueprint sharing, there were tutorials on AIC, like just overall, how the buildings and facilities work. There are tutorials. And in the tutorials, they basically end up showing you every single different material that you can craft, more or less. And I told them, at least if you are going to make if you don't want to give us like full blueprints and full sharing, at the minimum, they could make the blueprints or from the tutorials available. So every player always has a way to stamp down any material they want, but they seem to have listened to the community of the beta testers and implemented blueprints. So at least that's in, and it does look like they are listening to the players. But then the next thing I really wanted to talk about, and they still haven't mentioned it in the this teaser video, anything like that, any comments, I've seen nothing about it, is the repeated interaction with the base. At the moment, the big issue for me is that once the base is optimized, you just kind of leave it. That's it. You create your base, you plop it down, you get the materials you need, the heals you need, whatever it is that you're crafting, and you're done. That's it. You don't interact with it anymore. One of the things that I had suggested was that events should have a new facilities, materials, things like that players have to interact with and redo their bases for. And that's where, again, blueprints would come in handy. So you would maybe save your old base as a blueprint, and then you could go and either remove parts of it or redesign your base with the new materials in mind for the event. And then you build up your event currency by producing these materials, and you continue from there. So that's where I felt was a little bit lacking in both the technical test and the beta test. Of course, on a 3-week or 4-week beta test, it's kind of hard for them to maybe integrate an event like that, and maybe they're still trying to decide how they want to balance player interaction with the base. Right now, it just feels like once it's done, it's done. And I'll leave that to them to decide on full release how they see it, interaction with the base. But for now, it was very much like the base was center focus for the first little part of the game, and then once you're done the base, the rest is just combat. Is how I felt about it. So that's the repeated interaction with the base. And this leads into weapon gacha. Oh man, we build out this whole factory. We have something like 6 different places where we craft stuff, manufacture stuff. You literally manufacture, and I think they even showed it. They may have shown it in this video. I don't remember. They may have not. It may have been in one of my other videos. Oh yeah, it was here. Except I didn't keep the timestamp. But overall, you do craft. Okay, so 2 hours 29:07. So you literally craft the rest of your gear. So you get the basically grind out the materials and you craft out your gear sets, your set pieces and everything. And then so I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, so we're crafting all of this except the weapon. I've always been huge on the idea of I really hate multi-gacha systems. What that means is we're already rolling for the character. Why do we need to roll for other things? Now, they did try and make it a little bit easier to swallow by giving you weapon gacha tickets as you roll for the characters and making some of the weapons just outright purchasable. It still doesn't fix the problem to me. I think it's absolutely silly to have a weapon gacha in a game like Endfield. It just feels a little bit greedy, to be honestly, it feels a little bit greedy. I'm surprised that more people are focusing on Last Right and the blueprint system and not talking about the gacha system. Like it's this whole thing to me where once you get the character, then you feel like you need the weapon. If you don't get the weapon, do you keep spending? Things like that. And it's a whole thing. In the financial industry, or I mean, actually, you know what? Let's go back 15 years in gacha, and there used to be a thing it ended up being banned, but it was called comp gacha or complete gacha, where you would basically get one part of a unit. Let's say the featured unit was Exodia from Yu-Gi-Oh, and how each of the individual pieces are useless without the rest of the pieces, and that was effectively what was happening. And while it's not exactly a good parallel with what's happening with weapon gachas, you can understand the feeling that people would have if they rolled the character they want but they couldn't get the weapon. They would feel that the character was incomplete because oftentimes these weapons are designed with the character in mind and have specific, let's say, effects or skills attached that will interact with the character and bring them to different levels, effectively different strengths or different effectiveness. Don't know the best word to describe that, but I think you understand what I mean. So it's a twofold effect, especially for Enfield. Like I said, we're doing all this crafting already, and yet we don't get to craft our weapons. And then not only that, so we're rolling for the character, and then we still have to roll for the weapon, and then you just have this this double whammy where it really just doesn't feel good to me for the weapon gacha. Another note is that it tends to be in the range of $2 per pull for gacha games, and based on the gacha system in Enfield, you're basically looking at $240 to guarantee a character. So for me, it was kind of disappointing to see them to get a dual a dual gacha system, so you're already spending so much on the character, and then for the weapon. And people were saying, oh, but you can get enough, you can get more copies, or if you roll enough on the character banner, you don't have to roll as much on the, or you will guarantee enough tickets for the weapon banner. But the thing is, not everyone goes 120 pulls to get the character. I actually, and you can see this from the stream title, I actually got 2 Surters in my first like 20 or 30 pulls in the beta test, and I spent something like, I spent every single ticket I had on the weapon banner, and I could not get her weapon. So, yeah, it's things like this that will come up and just feel really unfortunate and annoying, to say the least. Next, yeah, the weekly roguelike is just, you know, if you played Arknights and you thought Annihilation was bad and doing it and just letting Annihilation auto like 4 times a week, this is way worse. This is where you go in and you play a roguelike multiple times. Think of it like playing IS2 or something. Whatever IS we're at, IS5. In Arknights, and you have to do that weekly multiple times without fail to get your rewards. I think if you were at the highest difficulty, you get it. You can complete it in 1 or 2. I can't remember the numbers. It was either 1 or 2. But overall, it was like it's a time commitment. So I did find that a little bit annoying, and this ties in with the stamina expenditure. Is that it's also manual. The other annoying part, this is very minor, is that your characters don't auto heal if you repeat the let's say the little mini dungeon for that you spend your stamina in, which I thought was a little bit annoying. So if you're punching up and you're barely scraping by a clear, it means that you would have to leave the dungeon, go back to a checkpoint, full heal, and go back into the dungeon, and that just made it really annoying. Obviously, once you have a team that's very competent and leveled up, and you're clearing the dungeon, you can clear it 5 times in a row, no problem. Again, very minor, but it was something that came up. That does lead into my next point about time gates. This is something that I really, really disliked in Genshin. And this is just a Genshin map. Genshin has this system where, or going back to the launch of Genshin Impact, you had you were gated by your account level. So you would get account XP by clearing dungeons or materials or relics. But the problem was that you couldn't actually access the endgame relics until you were level 50. I believe it was 50. Which meant that getting account levels became a huge priority for players so that they can actually get there. By the time you finished all the campaign that was out there, you were in the range of level 27 to 30-ish, somewhere like that. And you had to get to account level 50. Sure, yeah, if you could spend all your natural stamina every day. And the other thing is that Genshin even capped their stamina refreshes to 6 per, I think it was 6 per day. So imagine you're trying to just push to level 50. You, even if you were willing to spend whatever it was, $10, $20 a day, I don't know how much it was, you were still capped. And the way to get around that was to pick up trash cans. Yes, the trash cans, the glorious trash cans. And this is the trash can tracker. We didn't have this when the game launched, but yeah, you could go and pick up trash cans. There it is. You could go pick up trash cans around the map for little tiny bits of XP. And the reason people did this was to get account levels faster and get to higher levels. Like especially level 40, you unlock the purple relics, and then level 50 was the legendary relics, the gold relics, and that was it. that was a big reason for picking up trash cans. And I'm kind of seeing the same thing happening in Enfield. In CBT 1, some of the other content creators just pumped all of the premium currency they got into stamina refreshes so they could push through the campaign faster because of level gates. And the level gates had the unfortunate problem that, or sorry, the interactions brought about from this issue is that you had to progress far enough in campaign to unlock the different zones, which allowed you to produce more materials and gave you more facilities. So these were all important aspects to push campaign as fast as possible. So this is one of the key takeaways for me, was really just like, oh man, this is annoying. And I understand that from a development standpoint, it's probably better if you kind of stagger out the campaign so that people have a chance to build like a basic base setup, level up a little bit, clear this part of the campaign, unlock the next facility. But when you're trying to min-max, things like that, it just becomes really mentally frustrating. So yeah, those are the time gates. Now let's talk about the art direction, because this was another very, very hot topic. I don't know why Last Right sparked so much debate. I've seen a lot of different criticism about the art. There was a lot of comments about it being very Gooner. This was from the previous CBT. There was a lot of Gooner shit already, and this is again not my cup of tea. So this is Ember's intro animation here. First, you get a little bit of an ass window, and then just watch the jiggling. Did you catch it? So you get a little bit of an ass window, and then we have the jiggling. So like I said, I really enjoyed Arknights art direction. I actually do like a lot of the characters in Enfield, like Aviwena. I really like Endman's design, Pearly's design. Like I overall like most of the designs. Of all the designs to dislike, I'm very surprised that people started focusing on Last Right so much. If anything, I would have thought people would have hated Yvonne more. I know that of all the characters, Yvonne is my least favorite. Her just color scheme just does not work for me. I overall, like, a lot of the color schemes were just a lot of grays, whites, blacks, things like that, and then little highlights with strong, colors. Like here we have Aviwena with red and a little bit of yellow. Ember had like yellow on her arm piece here, but overall it was like very, very dark colors. Even then we look at Aya, still nothing like super, super strong in terms of colors, and I guess they wanted to maybe lean more into her previous color schemes. But still nothing like super strong, and then highlights of like, strong red gloves, things like that. Or where they add the color. And then we go to Last Right, was sort of similar, except she's wearing, I guess, tights. These dark blue tights, the blue gloves, and then like the straps are blue. And then you have Yvonne, just like these neon pink arms with neon pink hair and just pink. There's like pink everywhere, and I hated it. I hated it. And again, that's my personal preference. You don't have to agree with it. I really hated it. If you really wanted to focus on something that was too Gooner for the game, I am surprised that this was not it. And part of me thinks that it's probably because there's people seeing Endfield for the first time with this trailer, this whole like live stream trailer, things like that, and ads showing off Last Right that they probably didn't even know about Yvonne. So they may not have even known about Yvonne or her part in the story, or like the neon pink. I didn't actually roll her, thankfully, in the CBT, but yeah, let's just say I didn't enjoy her design. Of all things, I not my cup of tea. And I respect if you like her design. She's in the game, so if, like that's it. You either play the game with that in mind or you don't. But overall, I still don't find like the game is really that gooner. I probably can't even show it in a video, but just go look up Azur Lane. And even then, some friends had pushed me to try a game. It was called Stella Sora. Sounds like a dinosaur, but it is not a. It is has nothing to do with Jurassic Park or dinosaurs, and it was a. I hope this is allowed on YouTube. I genuinely like this. You open the game and you clear the tutorial. Like the first banner is this, and I'm going, what the fuck? And I uninstalled the game. So, yeah. In terms of Gooner, like, I don't know. I think people are just getting way too worked up over Last Right's design. It's kind of mind-boggling to me. That's all I'm gonna say on the topic. Do what you want. If you decide not to play the game because you don't like her design, fine. See if I care. But yeah, that I think pretty much sums up my feelings on the whole thing. So to recap, I think the combat is going in a better direction. I was definitely a lot more intrigued with the teaser for the upcoming CBT 2 for the combat. I gotta say, art direction, I generally like the costumes, or the overall art design of the game. I love the landscapes and everything. I I actually forgot this because I forgot to note it down on my other screen before I started the video. The last key takeaway was that pretty much everyone hated the pylons. First of all, placing pylons is a little bit tedious. And two is that they become really obvious. And I don't know if I have a place where it's more visible. But you just have these like very, very nicely crafted landscapes. And you just kind of overwrite them with pylons. And there's pylons everywhere. Unfortunately, I don't know if I have a better I'm sure that one of these streams would have had some more indication of what's happening with the pylons, but overall what ended up happening was just that you got tons and tons. Oh, it was kind of getting close. You could kind of see from the side. But yeah, you had these really nice landscapes, and then there's just pylons covering everything because you have to route power everywhere. And I really wish they would have just made the pylons shorter or something, so they kind of just look like small little white trees. But the big power relay stations, they're tall, they're huge. They are very noticeable. So it kind of felt unfortunate that it's like, oh wow, this is a really cool design for a city, and dude, I'm in love with what they did with the second zone. I love the whole art design. They talked about it in their recent teaser. You literally one of the sections, you literally take pylons and pass it through a city. I don't remember what part I didn't keep a timestamp for it. I honestly forgot to to note it. I even forgot to note it down on the side. But you path through some village with pylons just straight down the road. So they're very much in the way. I wouldn't say immersion breaking, but it's like it would have been maybe a little bit more interesting if it was more like, oh, you clear out this pack of monsters and you repair some kind of relay that's already existing instead of manually just shoving pylons everywhere on the planet. And it probably, to me, they could have kept the visuals of the landscape a lot cleaner. That being said, it might also just be part of their choice as a commentary, like, look, industrialization, look what it does to your landscape. And then you might try as a player to be more immersive and manage that a little bit better. But overall, like, one of the sections, you kind of have to path pylons and relays through a canyon, and that's it. You don't really have a choice. There's like one spot where the pylon will go down, and that's where it goes. You don't have a choice in the matter. So yeah, and then when you go take a look at the landscape, you just see the tops of your relays just poking out in this canyon, which is, and that's the first thing that you do when you get to that zone is you're going through a canyon in that zone, and that's it. You start putting pylons down. So yeah, that's art direction. I love the art direction overall. I have my reservations about some of the characters, but yeah. Oh, I forgot another one of the time gates. I can't remember what this was for, but each zone has like this little mini annihilation that you do. It was for a type of material. I can't remember what it was. Each zone has a mini annihilation that's on like a 30-minute timer. So to min max your playthrough, you basically have to like set timers and farm those little mini annihilations where it's just like wave based combat. Um, and you can see that so this little indicator here, the reason I remembered about that is because of this indicator here. You can set up gun turrets around those little wave based annihilations. So yeah, you can set up little gun turrets. One of the things that I do wish is that, if we're gonna ruin the landscape anyway, give us more zip lines. In the teaser, it looked like they were doing a lot of zip lines. I don't know if they still kept the limitation, but if they want us to traverse and pick up, materials, raw materials around the planet, it would be good to have more zipline limits or just unlimited zip lines, whatever. I personally don't see a problem if players have more zip lines. So yeah. And like I said, blueprints amazing, basically a must-have. The combat I still think could use a bit more work, but again, let's play the current beta test and give more feedback on that. Weapon gacha is super unfortunate in this game. I really don't think it has a place in it, and I think Hypergriff should. I mean, personally, I think Hypergriff should reconsider. The fact that people aren't complaining about this is very telling about how much gacha players will accept from gacha games these days. Like, going from Arknights, which is not necessarily the friendliest, but is extremely friendly to players, into Endfield, where it's like, oh yes, some potentials matter a lot. You have weapons also to roll for. Oh man, not looking forward as much to that. And then yeah, the overall time gates. I'm assuming it's gonna be the same as last time, where some content creators are just gonna blow all their their premium currency on stamina refreshes so that they can progress faster. And I'm sure that when the game comes out, that's going to happen too, because getting to new zones and setting up your bases earlier means that you start leveling up those zones earlier. And I hope that Hypergriff does take a look at that and maybe rebalances things so that instead of it just being like an account level gate, it is maybe it's a just You know, the boss is this strong. If you beat the boss, you move on. Done. So, you know, people will clear it at their own pace, but you're not just like sitting there spamming dungeons just for the account level XP because you've already finished everything there and it's just a time gate on the amount of stamina. Anyway, that pretty much sums up all my thoughts on Enfield right now. I'll be streaming the beta in 22 days. Yes, 22 days. The CBT 2 will be out, so I will definitely be streaming that. I will be posting my thoughts on the matter and how much more I'm enjoying it versus CBT 1. And yeah, hope to see you around. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.